Things got a little spicy between McLaren CEO Zak Brown and Red Bull's team boss Christian Horner this past weekend in Austin. This was only days after Zak's letter to the FIA went public, where he said that an overspend by any amount is illegal and should be punished viciously to make sure that any advantage that Red Bull had gained with their overspend be nullified. So, what did the two have to say to each other this past weekend? And is there any truth to the rumors that the FIA has decided what to do with Red Bull? Well, let's talk about it then. But before we do, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. Now that's out of the way, let's get started. As mentioned in the intro, McLaren CEO Zak Brown had sent a letter to the FIA and to the teams that abided by the cost cap regulations, where he basically said that he wants Red Bull to be punished accordingly for what he saw was an unfair advantage that the team had gained. Since those letters went public, Red Bull's team boss Christian Horner would have his chance to speak to the public for the first time in Austin, since it was confirmed by the FIA that the team had overspent. In his statements, Horner would address Zak's accusations by saying, "It's tremendously disappointing for a fellow competitor to accuse you of cheating. To accuse you of fraudulent activity is shocking, without the facts, without any knowledge of the detail. We've been on trial because of public accusations since Singapore, the rhetoric of cheats, the rhetoric that we have this enormous benefit, the damage that does to the brand, to our partners, to our drivers, to our workforce. In an age where mental health is prevalent, we are seeing significant issues within our workforce. We're getting kids that are employees' children bullied in playgrounds. That's not right through fictitious allegations from other teams. You cannot go around making those kinds of allegations without any facts or substance. We are appalled at the behavior of some of our competitors." Zak would respond and insist that he was making a case to the FIA to police and enforce the budget cap correctly. "My letter set out, if a team spends more than the cap, they're going to get an advantage," he said. "The cap is a rule, no different than the technical rules in the sport. My letter was saying, if someone has overspent, here are some of the things that should be addressed. I didn't mention any teams, it was a general response. The cap for the 2021 season was set at £114 million, and it has been reported that Red Bull had allegedly exceeded the cap by £1.8 million. But even with a hefty amount of overspend, Christian and the team have still stood by their stance and say that they were well within the budget cap limits. Other teams have also pointed out that any amount of overspend could have brought a significant performance advantage for Red Bull in the years to come. An accusation Christian would also rebut by saying, "Absolutely not. We had zero benefit from a development or operational perspective for 2021 or for 2022 from the way we operated within the cap. Our submission was significantly below the cap." Christian would also be asked about how have the talks progressed, to which he would reply with, "The process as per the regulations is what we've been invited to enter into an ABA, which is for a minor breach and procedural breach, that you have the opportunity to discuss with the FIA and presently your case, your position. We are in that process and have been for pretty much the last 10 days or so, going backwards and forwards with the FIA. I hope for it to be resolved before this weekend. I'm hoping it can be resolved during this weekend, but should that not happen, the next process is it goes to the Cost Cap Administration Panel, and then beyond that, there's the International Court of Appeal. So it could draw out for another 6-9 months, which is not our intention. We want closure on 2021. We've had some healthy and productive discussions with the FIA, and I'm hopeful of being able to reach a conclusion in the near future. I think the FIA are looking to put the resource in to deal with that, because I think what you have to remember is this set of regulations was placed upon the FIA to police, and I think it's probably taken them by surprise during the last 18 months, particularly with the scale of some of the teams and the complexity of it to have to deal with it. They've done the best they can with the resource they have, but you have a process we are assured will be a lot quicker next year. There are significant challenges within 2022, But when you look at the amount of crash damage some of the teams are having, some of the update levels that are going on, the precedents that will be set from 2021 will have to apply and will have consistency in 2022. And finally, when asked about what the FIA proposed as punishment, Christian would have this to say: "I can't tell you that obviously. It's a confidential discussion between ourselves and the FIA. What I will say is that once, hopefully, this situation is concluded, there will be complete transparency, and I will talk you through the reasoning behind submission and the position we had. Why we felt that each of the line items that have been challenged, we believe there's a contrary position. It should be transparent. The whole thing should be transparent. There's not going to be privacy or a secret deal. I think it will be absolutely above board. This is very different to a previous situation." And although we didn't get to see Christian and Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff in the same press conference section, Toto would comment on what Christian had to say. "I almost had to wipe away a tear when I heard that," Wolff said sarcastically when reminded of Horner's press conference comments. "The fact is that 9 of the 10 teams have stayed under the budget cap. The fact is that one team is now claiming to have exceeded it with alleged problems that are not performance-related, but these apply to us as well. We too have been thinking about how many sandwiches we give people and how to overcome various financial hurdles," he added, in reference to reports Red Bull's catering budget was a significant factor in their overspend. Whether they're over $1 million, 2, or 5, it's a financial advantage that can translate into development. So it's a bit of reverse psychology. Who is the victim here? I think it's the 9 teams. Toto would then cite the harsh punishments that his own team had to take in the recent past, such as Lewis Hamilton being penalized in Interlagos after a minor DRS infringement. He would also acknowledge that paddock politics has always been and will always be part of the sport, and that he could only hope that the FIA will be just and handle the situation in a swift manner. "There have been controversies in recent years," he said. "In Brazil, our DRS opening was 0.02 millimeters over, and we were excluded. I think the financial regulations are a very important pillar of the technical and sporting regulations. The aim was for all teams to be able to compete with the same expenses, and if one goes over the cap now, whatever their excuse is, it's contrary to the spirit that was intended." And there you have it, guys. So, what are the chances this gets swept under the rug now that Christian has said that this has the potential to last for another 6 months? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.